Okay, so this video is a little bit about how I actually cut my spirals. After I've made the rod, which I have right here, I'm going to now cut them to the desired length that I need for the pattern that I'm going to make. What I found is that a pair of pruning shears are the best tool to use for cutting these. The reason being is because on this side it's actually a very flat blade. It's very skinny, so that it can fit in between the spirals without separating them. You can usually find these at any home and garden store or Home Depot or something along those lines. So when I go to cut my spiral, what I'm actually going to do is make sure that the tip, where the last place I cut, is pointing on the bottom. This will help to make sure that you have the equal amount of turns you need for each little spiral. A lot of the patterns that I have created usually have about 4 to 5 turns in the spiral. So this is the part where you need to have good eyes or a good pair of glasses, because what you want to do is you'll put the blade in between. Obviously, if you want a 4-spinned spiral where there's 4 turns, you'll want it in between the 4th and 5th, or and if you want 5 turns, 5 and 6. So what you want to do is, like I said, you'll put the blade right in between those two, and what you'll need to do is actually hold the end here, because if you don't, what's going to happen is they may bend a little like this. That's what happens when you don't support the very end. So it's actually important to support it. And what I mean by that is I hold it at the very end. I put this where I need it to be, okay? And then I snap, and then I get a spiral. This does take practice, of course, but after cutting, a few hundred of them, you'll eventually get the rhythm of it. But as I said, what's important is to support it when you go to cut it. And when you go to cut your next one, always make sure that the tip here at the very end is pointing down. Then after a while, you will start to get the groove of it. Now once some people will, I've heard that they will file the very end so that it's not so sharp. I find if you get a really nice cut, there's really no need for that. It doesn't catch so much on my the threads and such that I use to make my patterns. But if you find that a edge is super sharp, you can always take a pair of jeweler's snippets that you can find at a hobby store, and then just kind of clean off the end. These snippets have been used quite a bit, so they're not as sharp as they used to be, but then it makes this end a lot smoother. Something that's also important when you are cutting the little tiny spirals is that you don't want to cut them on a very smooth surface, or they will escape you. So you'll always want to have like a mat or something underneath you so that spirals don't start skipping off your table. And also you'll have lots of little tiny metal pieces. And if you have something like a mat like this, you can easily clean it all up and dump it in the garbage. But yeah, so that's basically how I do that. And then I just repeat times, 1,000 sometimes. Thanks.